Hi everyone, my name is Claire and I'm a youth delegate for the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. We are in the climate generation area at COP21 and we are with Mary Robinson. Mary Robinson was the first female president of Ireland and a former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. She is now president of the Mary Robinson Foundation, Climate Justice, and a UN Special Envoy for Climate Change. Mary Robinson, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm very happy to be here.
So I have a few questions for you that Girl Guides and Girl Scouts wanted to ask you. So my first question is, what first motivated you or inspired you to work on climate justice?
I came quite late to the impact that climate was having on human rights, but I definitely came through a lens of human rights, and that's, I think, a little bit unusual. Most people come very concerned about environment, very concerned about science, but no, I saw the impacts on people. I was working on economic and social rights in African countries after I had finished my term as UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in 2002. And I was traveling to a lot of African countries on right to health, on women, peace and security, on right to food. And I was seeing that everything was getting worse because the rainy seasons weren't coming in Liberia the way they used to, in a very predictable way, or there was drought and flash flooding that was destroying the school, and people were really constrained by the fact that nothing was predictable anymore, and they didn't know when to sow and they didn't know when to harvest. And I realized that this was the biggest human rights issue facing the world, because I read the science then, and I saw that we have very little time to address the fact that we're not on course for a safe world. We're heading towards 3 or 4 degrees of warming, and we should be below, well below 2 degrees, nearer to 1.5. And so I formed this foundation on climate justice.
And how has the situation changed over time since you started working on climate change issues with respect to women and girls' participation?
I think that we have realized the very strong gender dimensions of climate change, that when you undermine poor livelihoods, who has to pick up the pieces? I mean, the role of women and men is different, and the impact on women is usually more severe. Even if it's climate change that leads to sudden flooding, women can't run as fast, they want to protect their children, and we have very clear evidence that in natural catastrophes or climate-induced catastrophes, that women are 14 times more likely to be killed, as are children, than men. So that's one aspect, but also women are the agents of change in their communities. So many women form groups, and young women are becoming champions of, we need to address this and we need to find ways to be more resilient. And I'm really delighted to see that young women are more and more, taking responsibility and giving leadership and insisting on their voices being heard.
So, what can we all do to ensure that girls and young women really have the capacity to tackle climate change?
Well, I think that Girl Guides and Scouts is a great group to talk to, and I'm delighted to do that, because you have a sense of being citizens that care about the community and being encouraged to care about it, and encouraged, in fact, to take a leadership role in your community and to try to be more resilient. I read the bios of the delegates from WAGs to the conference. It's very impressive. They've done so much already. And I think that this is important because too often women are seen as victims and somehow passive. And in my experience, that's not accurate. Yes, they are victims, but they are also agents for change, and they are trying to address these issues with very little support, very little training, very little money, and yet they're doing a great deal. And the younger the women, the more they are connected now with the world, through the mobile phone, through technology, etc. And I think we're really seeing that difference.
So, last, what would be your message to girls and young women working on climate change?
I would say you are actually giving me great hope, because I'm seeing so much being done, so many innovative ideas. Last night in Paris, I went to the Climate Kick events, and there were people who were looking forward to a world that would be free of fossil fuel. They believe it will be a much better world, and they believe it will be a much fairer, more just world. And so I'm hoping that young women in the world today, particularly young women from more developed countries, will link with their sisters in developing countries in order to make sure that no one is left behind, that we tackle the fact that about 1.3 billion people in our world don't have any electricity, and we need it to be clean energy in the future. We need to reach them with lights and cook stoves and units for their household and solar panels for their roofs, etc. It's happening in a small way, but not nearly enough, because they're the ones that are unfairly and unjustly affected by climate. They're more affected than any other people, and they're least able to be resilient because they don't have the capacity at the moment. And so I have great hope from young people. I'll say that in my speech as well, because I'm meeting them all the time. They get it, they understand, and they're doing something about it. And that's what we need. And we need a Paris Agreement that will set us on a course for a safe world. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Not at all.
It's great to see that you have hope.
I have hope, yes.
It's really inspiring to hear you.
Well, thank you. And it's great to be here. Yeah.